to much of what Don Jr. says because, like you said, there's something going on there that we can't quite diagnose unless we do get that hair follicle. I wonder where Kimberly Guilfoyle is. This guy is just kind of just drifting aimlessly. He's whatever age he is. He's been on this planet for decade after decade, and he's not any further along. He can't get out of his father's shadow, and he's not even good at that. He's not even good at living up to his father's grift and nonsense. He's just a drain. El Salvador has some good culinary schools, actually, and good cuisine, which I'm sure he knows nothing about, but go ahead. Don't tell him that they will extradite him right back here. Let him run there and then we'll collect him when we're ready.
100%. Yeah, it's almost like it's a whole country with a history and people and culture and art and society and like a real place with real people. It's amazing to think of. Anyway, I just want to quickly point out this comment on the video that says, "Oh, that'll be a great video to play during the flight risk portion of his bail hearing." Again, it's just jokes. No one is making any claims of any charges against him or whatever. He's a rich fail son. He goes off and he breaks the law and he does his drugs and God knows what else. And nobody's coming after him or anything else like that. But my final point is what you said. Like, it's not that he can't get out of his father's shadow. He has never given across any idea that he wants to. No. He copies his father in business, and I'm sure they give him some fake books that don't actually have anything to do with the business for him to play with or whatever, and he draws them in crayon. And then his father goes into politics, so he's like, I'll make a podcast. Mm-hmm. Why? Why don't you do something for yourself, something that you actually have skills at? Why don't you have any ambitions, any aspirations? It's just, he's just desperately trying to look like his father so that maybe his father will love him. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Jesse Waters tells me they have a great family. Anyway, with that said, that's all the time we have for our show. Thank you as always, Sharon, for joining us for Big News Wednesday. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. You actually made me feel sorry for Don Jr. right at the end there, just a little bit. I'll recover, but it's I think you're absolutely right. Wow.
Wow. Well, don't feel too bad. The dude's awful. But anyway, that's all the time we have. Everyone, I am going to be joining Anna Kasparian for the second hour in the bonus episode of The Young Turks later on today. It will be the first time that she will see me with the purple hair. So tune in live for her to likely roast me. But that should be a lot of fun. For now, though, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than my brother Jackson White, TYT Rebel HQ contributor, all-star, and host of Politics and Paper. Always fascinating to have his analysis. First story of the day. Graduation, high school, Black superintendent, white male father physically assaults him because he does not want his daughter obviously shaking hands with a Black male. Here's the video.
Oh, you're not. Excuse me.
That's my
Where's Brendan?
Man, you better get up off me, man.
Where's Brendan?
Get away from me, bro.
No, don't.
Hey, no. Hey,
Go.
you need to get. Hey.
Walk away.
Get off. You gotta go. Get off. Out right now. I don't care. Get off.
That way, Michael. No. Where's Brendan? Whose dad is that?
Brendan's.
Okay. Who's up?
I want you to notice a few things. When the assault was occurring, not one of those individuals who, by the way, those are, colleagues, people that work for him, they all just stood by, looked at it as if it was not happening in front of them. This is a violent individual at a high school graduation. Regardless of who that person may be attacking, this individual poses a threat to everybody. Now, I have the background, I have the foreground, and I have an update. But I want you to see this video one more time. Here it is.
Oh,
You're not.
excuse me.
That's my
Where's Brendan?
Man, you better get up off
Where's
me,
Brendan?
man.
Where's
Get away from me, bro.
No.
Hey, no. Hey, you need to get. Hey.
Walk away.
Get off. You gotta go. Out right now. I don't care. Get off.
That way, Michael. No. Where's Brendan? Whose dad is that?
Brendan's.
Okay. Who's up?
Why were they giving a round of applause? Do you think it is because of the white male attacking the Black male or something else? Let me give you the background, let you decide. Put up the picture for a as. Per WISC local news, the father of a Baraboo High School graduate forcibly pulled the district superintendent, the boss, the head guy, away from his daughter on stage, went on stage and did this in front of everybody as she crossed the stage to receive her traditional congratulatory handshake. This was during the school's graduation on Friday. The man, who is not being named for some reason by the local press to protect, according to them, the daughter's information or identity, ran into the stage just after the girl had been handed her diploma and began working her way down a line of school officials shaking hands. Obviously, this is premeditated, in my opinion. Why? Well, it's a graduation. You don't do something like that impromptu. You know good and damn well the superintendent is going to be in that line. You know that this is part of the traditional order, and you decided to put on your happy hat and embarrass your daughter at the graduation. Well, listen, your daughter has graduated. The normative rules of journalism allows us to, at any time, tell you the identity of one who has committed or been charged officially with a crime. So I'm not sure why the local press is protecting you, but I'm not the local press. So I'm asking anyone, since this guy has been charged, please send me his information, leak it to me. If you work at the school and you believe this is unfair, please go ahead and send it to Indisputable. All right, we'll put up the email in post, but make sure we know who this person is. All right? There's more to the background of this debacle before she could get to the superintendent, Mr. Rainey Briggs. The man wearing a white polo shirt, baseball cap, grabbed the superintendent, Mr. Briggs, by his right arm, pushed him away, saying, quote, "That's my daughter." Yeah, we know that. She's graduating. We understand. You're a parent. There's a lot of parents here. The man can be heard saying, Briggs can be heard telling the man, "You better get up off me, man. Get away from me, bro." As staff working the graduation and 3 bearable police officers, including the school resource officer, finally intervened. At one point, a voice can be heard saying, "I don't want her touching him." Sir, this was a much simpler. There was a much simpler remedy. She doesn't have to participate in the graduation. She still gets her diploma. They'll mail it to her, right? They do it many times. But this whole thing, premeditated. Obviously, in my opinion, he was getting a round of applause from some of those folk because they celebrated this kind of violence against the superintendent. And naturally, the superintendent has people that support him as well. There's more. So police escorted the man out of the school building following the incident. School board president Kevin Vadok, board members Gwen Peterson, Katie Kalish, and Amy DeLong. Also, the Bearable High School principal Steve Considine shared the stage with Briggs. The man did not interact with any of them, but only confronted Briggs. In a statement, district spokesperson Haley Wagner said a disorderly conduct charge for the man was referred to the county district attorney's office. Quote, "We would like to emphasize that the safety and well-being of our students, staff, and community members is a top priority." Put up the picture again. I want you to understand what they have recommended for criminal charge. Disorderly conduct. Disorderly conduct is a misdemeanor. In many jurisdictions, it is an ordinance violation. Won't even go on your criminal record. Disorderly conduct. This was a school event. Violence was evident. Physical assault happened. What happened to the assault charge? Battery charge. What happened to doing violence in front of minors? Charge. There's more. Friday's graduation ceremony came during a particularly fraught time in the district. A large group of residents, including a former district teacher who worked in the district prior to Briggs' tenure, have voiced numerous complaints against Mr. Briggs, other administrators, and the school board. The group is currently attempting to recall the president, the guy who is the elected head right now, and has until July 14th to submit more than 2,500 signatures to force a recall election. If the campaign is successful, the president said the election will be in late August or early September at the earliest. But this president of the school board is actually up for re-election next spring. Critics have accused this school board president of favoritism toward the administration, providing inadequate pay and administrative support for teachers and unfairly firing the former Jack Young Middle School principal, Abby Alt. and School Resource Officer Amanda Sable, among others. Many of those grievances have been shared through social media, including Baraboo Community Conversations and Baraboo SDWI Parents' Rights in Education Facebook pages. Let's put up this image of a reminder. So Arthur D. Earl Stevens reminded many of us on X that this is the picture of high school students in Baraboo, Wisconsin, flashing the Nazi salute. Do you have that picture? Okay, we'll put that picture up in post. There was a picture of these seemingly graduates of the school. For whatever reason, these graduates decided to pose in a Nazi salute. When it went viral, the school, the students said, "Oh, no, that's just a thing we do. That's a Nazi salute? Get out of here." Yeah, that one did not age well. All right, so all of this administrative bureaucracy, the school board president having favoritism with the current superintendent, which, by the way, that means they have a good working relationship. Typically, that's what you want at a school board. You want a school board that has a good working relationship with the actual staff. Regardless of your political complaints and your protocol dynamics, you do not physically assault a public official because you do not like their administrative style. Disorderly conduct being recommended tells me they don't care about the superintendent either. We will follow this story, bring you updates. My dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, disorderly conduct charge definitely seems like they're trying to sweep it under the rug, not ruffle any feathers in the parent community. But truthfully, this was one of the more ridiculous things I've seen because there's so many other things that he could have done. You mentioned one, his daughter didn't have to attend the graduation if it was really that big of a deal. He could have had conversations with people before or after the ceremony. Because, if it just comes down to if you take racism out of it, if it's just about how he conducts himself, how he, makes people follow procedure, obviously that's not the way you go about it. I don't want her touching him. If it's about racism, I guess he just doesn't want her touching his black hands, which again is pretty extreme. But then on the other hand, it's like, congratulations, dude, you embarrassed and traumatized your daughter for however long that'll last. You could tell that she looked pretty disappointed.
Yep.
At least that's what it seemed to me. She looked disappointed. She looked like, she's going to have to hear about it. I mean, the whole country's talking about it right now. So I would imagine that if that type of stuff continues, she'll probably end up, breaking away from him. I don't know. I can't speak to it to that degree. But no matter how you look at it, it was a foolish move. And he embarrassed his daughter on a day that is supposed to be one of her best days.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the part. It shows his level of selfishness and also his inability to be self-aware of the moment. Okay. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, well, guess what? If you try to register to vote as a convicted felon, you go to jail. If you attempt to vote as a convicted felon, you go to jail. He has this roundup posse organized by the state to literally raid homes. We've shown it right here on Indisputable. And they conveniently have a camera on standby to make sure these things are recorded. But he figured out a way to make sure Donald Trump, who resides in Florida as his legal place of residence, well, guess what? Trump can still vote. Put up the picture full mass, I will explain. Per the AP, following the Donald Trump's felony conviction of falsifying business records in the hush money trial, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said Trump has not lost his voting rights in the state. Florida is a state notorious for restricting the voting rights of people with felony convictions. In Trump's case, New York law only removes the right to vote for people convicted of felonies when they are incarcerated. This is a New York standard, okay? Once they are out of prison, their rights are automatically restored, even if they are on parole. That is per a 2021 law passed by the state's Democratic legislature. And a form of that law was attempted in the state of Florida and opposed by who? Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis opposed such, let's just say, left-leaning measures. However, both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are now glorifying in this left-leaning policy that provides an avenue with the right argument and contextualization that Donald Trump can still vote in the Florida election, which, by the way, eliminates the legal challenge that Trump cannot be on the ballot in Florida, because the legal challenge statutorily says if you are a convicted felon and unable to vote in the state of Florida, guess what? You do not have ballot access. So while the headline is speaking to Trump's access to voting in Florida, the legal ramification is that DeSantis has a stronger case to eliminate a legal challenge that Trump does not have the right of ballot access under felony conviction. Let's put it up. Governor DeSantis stated on X that Trump retains his voting rights in Florida as rights are not removed in the state unless stripped in the convicting jurisdiction. He added that the New York prosecution of Trump is absurd and would easily qualify for restoration of rights by the Florida Clemency Board. So in other words, he had another way to do it if he wanted to. DeSantis emphasized that Trump's vote in November will be one of many showing Florida's solid Republican stance. You still saying the word Republican, sir? That'll get you in trouble in the circles you run in. Republican? Donald Trump Jr. told you there is no Republican Party anymore. It's only MAGA now. Sir, you need to get with the program here. There's more. So as previously reported, Trump became the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. As a New York jury found him guilty, a New York jury of American citizens, another jury called a grand jury of American citizens indicted him. But this jury found him guilty of all 34 counts, falsifying business records to influence the 2016 election through hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. They deliberated for 9.5 hours. The conviction and even imprisonment would not bar Trump from continuing his pursuit of the White House, according to most. The Republican National Convention, which will open 4 days after his July 11th sentencing, that's his date, in New York, adopted rules last year that didn't include any specific provisions if its presumptive nominee is convicted of a crime. Now, I'm going to break this down again because I disagree with many of the legal scholars who provide this context and this language of the Constitution to say, well, all you have to be is 35 years of age, live in the United States of America 14 years, be a natural born citizen. That's according to the Constitution. Well, that is correct. The Constitution provides your general framework for the exercising of this right to run for president. However, in the United States of America, the Supreme Court has upheld that states are able to make reasonable laws and statutes that govern the accessibility of these particular rights. For example, your right to vote is protected by the US Constitution. However, states have the authority to pass statutes in order to, let's just say, make it safer for people, as they would call it. You have to present ID. 25, 30 years ago, that was not the case. You have to register to vote, but they don't like the registry for right to bear arms. You see, these are state laws that are able to be implemented even though the Constitution does not say anything about these state laws. You have the right to bear arms. Your right to bear arms, once again, is contextualized by statute per state. Some states allow you to bear arms starting at 12 years of age. Some states mandate that it is the age of majority before you can do so. Each state is a little bit different. Some states have open carry, other states require permitting. So this, once again, statutorily defined by the state. So all of these other rights are statutorily defined by the state. However, the right to run for president cannot be statutorily defined. The same Constitution that gave you those rights gave you the right to run for president. All right. Obviously, there will be an update. We'll see if the Supreme Court will take this case. They have really no jurisdiction to, but they may. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's just amazing to me how blatantly obvious it is that the Republican Party has no plan outside of authoritarianism. Because on the
Right.
one hand, they've pitted their entire future on a man who's 80, who was impeached twice, who just lost those civil cases, who just got 34 felonies, has these other criminal cases pending that won't happen until after the election. But depending on how that goes, he ain't gonna win those criminal trials either. A guy who has completely morphed the Republican Party into MAGA central, nothing else. But then on the other side of that same coin, if Donald Trump loses the election, all of these same politicians are going to throw him under the bus, gladly so, happily so. Because if they don't, then they'll have to take blame. And you know that Republicans aren't really about personal responsibility in any way, shape, or form. So it's like you're willing to bend the rules and let Donald Trump still vote and go through all this trouble to make this happen for what? You could have just picked another candidate because all of y'all want the exact same policies. So it's just like we're really going into some pretty dangerous territory because what plan do they really have other than do what I say just because I say it? You know,
you make a great point. They don't have another plan. There is no plan B. And Donald Trump, through his recklessness and obviously his ego, he has been able to effectively destroy the platform of the Republican Party. And listen, you guys allowed him to do this. You're getting what you deserve. Hopefully he will not be victorious in a presidential bid. All right, finally, former prosecutor, Central Park 5 case settles lawsuit. All right, put up the picture full mass. Hell of a story. The individuals here who were prosecuted wrongfully when they were children, they're my friends today. I know them. I've interviewed them multiple times, hung out with a couple of them on occasion. In a Tuesday announcement, former Manhattan prosecutor Linda Fairstein and Netflix settled a defamation lawsuit over her portrayal in the miniseries When They See Us. Now, this is so ironic. This is why, because people say, what about the statute of limitation? Well, it started back over when she did this docuseries about the exonerated Central Park 5. So the DA argued the 2019 series falsely depicted her as a racist, unethical villain, and misattributed actions and viewpoints to her. Now, this is quite ironic, right? Because she actually did do these things. She actually did engage in racism. She actually did engage in policy, selective policy bias. The evidence was there. It was clear. People coerced confessions. Her office knew about it. There's more. Per the AP, the case was expected to go to trial later this month. She said in a statement that the decision to conclude this fight was not an easy one, expressing confidence she would have presented a compelling case to the jury. While the former DA will not receive any money, as part of the settlement, Netflix has agreed to donate $1 million to the Innocent Project, a nonprofit that works to exonerate people who have been wrongly convicted. So viewers of the series will also now see a disclaimer that states, quote, while the motion picture is inspired by actual events in person, certain characters, incidents, locations, dialogue, and names are fictionalized for the purposes of dramatization. This is what this case is all about, not about winning or about any financial restitution, but about my reputation and that of my colleagues, she said in a statement, quote, it was about setting the historical record straight that the villainous character invented by the defendants and portrayed on screen was not me. Amazing. It's fascinating, right? Let us not forget about the main thing. So she was top of the Manhattan sex crimes prosecutor. She was top prosecutor in 1989 when 5 teenagers, children, were criminally coerced, charged with attacking a jogger, all right? Central Park. Their location was not even there. None of them. They were not the culprits. Their convictions were overturned, however, in 2002. After the convicted murderer and serial rapist, Mateus Reyes confessed to the crime. Said, yeah, I did it. And gave specific details that included DNA evidence, which, by the way, there was no DNA evidence that linked the others. The DA, who became a best-selling crime author after retiring from the Manhattan DA's office, observed the boys' interrogation. She saw the manipulation, but did not personally try the case. It's not my fault, she says. She was dropped by her publisher and resigned from several boards she served on after When They See Us came out. It dramatized the events surrounding the trial. Let's go to Ava DuVernay. Remarkable woman. She directed and co-wrote the series, okay? A writer and producer of the series. They named as defendant in the defamation lawsuit. The irony of this. DuVernay said in a statement posted on X, while she still believes that the DA was responsible for the investigation and prosecution of the teens, quote, as the head of the Manhattan Sex Crimes Unit, Linda Fairstein was in the precinct for over 35 hours straight while the boys were interrogated as adults, often without parents present. She said, claiming that Fairstein knew what was happening in the interrogation rooms. DuVernay accused the former DA of not being willing to face a jury of her peers. Quote, I hope that one day she can come to terms with the part she played in this miscarriage of justice and finally accept responsibility. That's not going to happen. All right. So let's highlight the irony here. She accuses children of committing a crime they never committed. She's in charge of the office, so the prosecutors all work for who? Her. She directly, based on record, she directly witnessed 35 hours of an illegal interrogation against minors. Did absolutely nothing about it. In my opinion, violating her oath, her ethical oath to her legal profession, regardless of her prosecutorial job or not. In addition to that, she allowed the prosecution to proceed, instructed her team, allowed these individuals to go to prison for something they did not do, which also, by proxy, ensured that the person who really did it was able to do more carnage. I mean, these are violations across the board here. She then becomes a best-selling author, makes a whole bunch of money. She lives a pretty decent life, right? And then here comes a person with the power of pen. They do research, they tell a story based on truth. These young men obviously were exonerated. They were completely innocent of any wrongdoing. She then says, well, wait a minute, but I've been wronged. Me, you must restore my reputation. Ma'am, did you help restore the reputation of the Central Park Five? Jackson, thoughts here.
I think she may never fully come to terms with the part that she played, but I think it's definitely apparent that she's got to know some since the lawsuit was settled, because there's really no saving her reputation at this point. Like, what is she really, like, what difference does it make? And on that regard, she may not actually fully, again, look in the mirror and be like, I was wrong, but she may just be like, oh, I got canceled. You know what I'm saying? Like, just chuck it up to that in some form or fashion. But, at the end of the day, these young men who are now men, and one of them is now a member of New York City Council.
That's right.
They went through a lot, and unnecessarily so. And this is a story that didn't have to blow up. This isn't something that everybody needed to talk about, because people get falsely accused every day, every week. And we don't always necessarily have access to those stories, especially the further back in time you go, when we didn't have social media and stuff like that. So it's definitely good that they're free, but at the end of the day, her reputation really can't be saved. It's too late.
That's right. And for those who would like to see the interview, I interviewed Dr. Yusuf Salam, who's now a council member, a couple of years ago at the university I worked at back then. Full sit-down interview. It's on YouTube right now. He broke down his feelings about Donald Trump. At that time, Trump was president of the United States, okay? And how he felt about this man being able to elevate to the top of politics, knowing what he attempted to do to them. Fascinating interview. We have more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks.
Ooh.
Now, these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like tyt.com/join, and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey. Hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitsing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny Pie. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
And this is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked. My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these beautiful comments. I appreciate everybody. Lynn says the graduate had a big smile on her face until you could just see her disappointment.
Yeah.
Almost as if it was like the dad said he was going to do it. She was like, Dad, don't do anything like that. It's going to embarrass me. And then Dad did it anyway because his bigotry could not stand it. Mo Fury, from the look of the daughter's face, that dad just walked out of her life. That's interesting. Next TYT report says you embarrassed her on one of the biggest days of her life. Next to her wedding, her children being born, graduating from high school is huge. It is. It is a celebration. V says, oh, hold up. The state arrested a whole lot of black people who were formerly convicted felons that tried to vote. But now he's flaunting that he will let this newly convicted felon vote. Well, maybe he's non-prejudicial against orange people. Yeah, I like that. So all right, that's V says, I lived in New York during that time, putting it plainly, that DA and 45 are full of crap. They were in a rush to convict a group of black boys for a white mob, and they have no apologies for what they did. It was sick and crazy living through those times. Thank you for contextualizing it properly. Also, Night Eater, he came up there with enough force. Charge him. That's right, this was assault. This was a violent assault. And that's right, former prosecutor, me 22, saying everything except an apology. That's right. Thank you to Dylan Doe, was gifted a membership by Vicky Gray. Thank you so much, Vicky Gray. And Twitch. CS Small 451. The moment where her expression changes for confusion to devastation is heartbreaking. That's right. And one more. I think this is tech nauseated. The comments on his video I saw somewhere said that the father was mad that the superintendent did nothing about the bullying her daughter in the video endured. That wasn't part of any story narrative that we were able to read. All of it was administrative jargon. Not to say that's not an issue he has brought up before, but still, you have no right to physically assault the superintendent. And by the way, the superintendent is not aside of the school. The superintendent is at Central. It's the principal, vice principal, and the faculty. They're the ones in the school system. All right, I got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
I guess I can't be in this bathroom because people steal. Whatever law firm is upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Can I ask who you report to so that I can call the law firm to?
Yep, I just told them that. Okay. I can't use this bathroom because of what? Because of what?
Your floor bathroom.
Why do I have to stay on my floor? Because of what? Why?
Why would you not stay on your floor?
Why do I have to stay on my floor? It's a bathroom. I can use the bathroom. They know me particularly. What you mean me particularly what?
I asked you to please not use our bathroom.
I can use whatever bathroom I want to use. This is the law firm I work. This is look. Please contact security. I work here. You sound stupid. Yeah, please go down there. Thank you. Tell them I'm taking in this bathroom.
Calling security on somebody that works there. We got more video and explanation is here.
I was so angry earlier, I couldn't even speak, okay? I never been somewhere working and I was racially profiled about using a bathroom, okay? So all that, you sound stupid, you make black people look bad. Y'all don't make no sense. Did you experience something at that moment and see how you would react? I couldn't even speak properly because I was so shocked that I was even getting treated like that in my employment. So I felt some type of way. So yes, I was all over the place. I'm always all over the place. So if you don't got nothing nice to say, all the little trolls or whatever behind that keyboard, don't comment. And your mama stupid, bitch.
She was responding to somebody being ignorant on the thread there. Okay, all right, so put up the picture, a full mask here. I don't believe this woman the black woman was inappropriate in her response. I think it was a raw response and it could have been worse, but she was in a raw response moment given the extreme alleged bigotry and racism of this particular Karen. Now, this Karen does make white Karens look bad because she did, in fact, say she was calling security, and I don't think she did. You see, Karenicity is supposed to go all the way, or no way at all. If you're going to Karen, damn it, do it all the way. Do it right, okay? If you're gonna be a Karen, be a proud Karen. Don't be halfway with this. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the woman worked at the building. She went to another restroom, possibly because, I don't know, it could be cleaner. It could be non-occupied and the one upstairs is, I don't know. Guess what? Not my business. There is no trespass happening. She has right of entry to the entire building. She works there. These are the common rules when you're in a commercial complex. Yeah. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
I mean, you really got to pick and choose your battles because unless somebody is actually in the wrong or if you don't have authority, people don't have to listen to you.
Right.
And oftentimes what we find with Karens in the wild is they haven't yet adapted to that reality of the changing climate. You know what I'm saying? Like black people don't have to do what you say just because you're white. You know what I'm saying? You was born a little too late for that. But it's like, if you tell, like, for instance, let's say you have an annoying neighbor or something. If they aren't actually breaking the law, like, do you really want to go upstairs and tell them to stop? Because if they say no, what you gonna do? You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
So you just got to pick and choose your battles because, again, if you don't have the authority or if they ain't actually in the wrong, sometimes you just got to suck it up.
Yeah. And now let's put the Karen back up again. So if you made the call, Karen, you revealed yourself to be exactly who you are. Security is probably saying, well, why would we stop someone from using the restroom who works here? Also, you embarrass your own employer or the business that you work for or partner with or own. And Karen, I need you to stop coming to work like you're telecommuting. All right, people are actually engaging with you. Let's stop this. Got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
He keeps starting stuff.
You turn our music back up.
He said that's why people don't like these people. Ignore his ass, y'all. That's what he wants.
Yeah,
Go back to Detroit. Go to Southfield. You're welcome in Southfield. You're welcome in Detroit. We don't want to live around you people.
you people. You people. Who is you people?
He's not calling the sheep.
He's scared. Oh, he bleeding. He leaking.
Yeah, put it up for a mask. We don't have a whole lot of information about who he is and why he's so racist. But we do have the video that is presented. I'm asking anyone, if you got more information, send it to us at Indisputable. At no point do I condone any type of aggression, violence, and racism, bigotry. Please understand, public places do not require your presence. If you don't like the public in all of its shapes and colors, personalities, and dogma, if you don't like it, don't go there. Remain in private places, places that can restrict legally the public, like your home. You're able to be as racist and as restrictive as you choose to be. Your home, and ironically, churches. Churches can legally be racist too. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
I mean, I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish. Were they going to be like, okay, we'll leave? You know what I'm saying? We'll leave the park and then we'll go, go on Zillow and find new houses and, cut the lease or cut the mortgage, whatever it may be. Like, we don't want you living here. Like, okay, bye. Again, you got to get over it, man. But unfortunately, this is the power of media. This is the power of culture. This is the power of what you tune in and listen to and watch. Because otherwise, where did this really come from other than, being passed down through generation? But sometimes, again, people could catch that just because they get caught in a rabbit hole online.
That's right.
So we got to keep on fighting.
That's right, dear brother. It's called confirmation bias. You start with the seed of an idea that may have been planted by a parent. And then that seed is nurtured by what you experience through your confirmed bias. We have more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked. My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Let's pretend the race is held today.
I've got Trump at 279, 259. I gave him Florida, Ohio. No, listen. So in his life, he's had a great track record of failure, bankruptcies, running from Vietnam, everything like that. But he's a populist candidate when the country is angry, and you've run, and it's the most establishment candidate we've ever seen against him. It was a terrible idea by the Democrats to support Hillary Clinton.
So you're so hot against him today because you think he's going to win.
If the Democrats are not really, really worried that in this populist time, Donald Trump doesn't have an excellent chance to win, they're completely wrong.
A big victory there for Donald Trump. Key state, no Republican has ever won the White House without winning Ohio. Donald Trump has won it.
Biden's going to lose. Here, I don't want you to quote me later. I don't want it to be Biden. I don't want to be proven right.
Trump would be a betting favorite. In 2020, maybe he was the only one who could have beaten Trump. I think now he's the only one who will lose to him. He cannot run.
I don't think Trump should run. I don't think President Biden should run.
David Axelrod, longtime Democratic strategist who has defended Biden time and time again. After Axelrod floated the idea earlier this month that Democrats might need the president to consider whether he's the best nominee for the party next year, Biden was reportedly so angered that he referred to Axelrod as a prick.
Biden's not up by 12 points. He can't coast to victory. He's losing. If he does not make up ground, Trump wins.
Tell me about the shirt you're wearing.
Pretty much speaks for itself. What's the penalty for treason? Death. Everything was phenomenal under Donald Trump, and now it's Obama calling the shots right now. It ain't Biden.
So it's Obama calling the shots?
I believe so. None of this would be happening if they hadn't stolen the 2020 election from Trump and we the people.
If you could have an option of 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president, what would you choose?
Donald Trump.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these beautiful comments. I appreciate everybody. Okay, Lirio. If they were from Detroit, he'd already be on the ground, LOL. If they were about that Detroit life. They may be from Detroit, but if they was about the Detroit life. David Morris, you people, and I agree, like universally, people should know, when you say you people, you've basically said the N-word. Or whatever racist slur can be attributed to that group, right? That's what you've done. All right. And don't do that. Jasper Katz 0407 said, I would pee on the floor right there out of spite. That would have been criminal. So we're glad that didn't happen. All right, and yeah. Nightmare 316, why you running? Thought you bad. Talking about to go back to Detroit Mail Karen. Okay, hell of a thing. Hell of a thing. Actor Wendell Pierce says he was denied housing due to race. Here it is.
A young family member graduated from Howard University, has his first job in New York. I take him apartment shopping, and I wanted to make sure that he got a decent apartment, and I was backing him up. We found an apartment in Harlem. I gave them all of my bank statements and employment and all, and then I was denied. And I realized that they used the technicality of saying that I did not have steady, consistent employment. Most actors work in 3-month periods, 3 months here, 3 months there. And because it wasn't a continuum of employment, no matter how much income I showed them, I own properties around the country, I showed them all my bank statements. I even offered to pay a year in advance, the complete rent for a year, and I was denied. And I realized that was by design, that the application was designed that way to be discriminatory. And that was the anecdote that I shared because I wanted to show the damaging effect of when bigotry is memorialized in law.
That is fascinating. Wow. Now, I own a couple of properties myself. I know a little bit about how the credit dynamic is handled. Usually, if there is a technicality like that and you have a specific type of employment that's congruent to the industry standard of that employment, then that has an easy override to it. It's no problem. You got the money, they're going to figure it out. Put it up. So Mr. Pierce took to social media on Monday to share that his application for a damn New York City apartment that he agreed to pay a year in advance, owns properties, etc., had been denied, which he alleged was due to race. Now I'm going to read this, but keep it up because I want to say this. They could have just qualified him as a simple business owner because of the properties that he owned. They could have qualified him under sole proprietorship because he has stated income, and that stated income through his actual own properties can be attributed to continual employment. There are all kinds of ways they could have done this if they wanted to. That's the part, if they wanted to, okay? He says, for those of you who don't understand my righteous anger, I'm on 2 TV series. I'm filming Superman. 2 years ago, I finished the 4th season of Jack Ryan. Last year, I finished a run on Broadway in Death of a Salesman. Even with my proof of employment, bank statements, and real estate holdings, a white apartment owner denied my application for rent to rent the apartment in Harlem, of all places. Racism and bigots are real. There are those who will do anything to destroy life's journey for Black folk. When you deny our personal experiences, you're as vile and despicable. The next day, Pierce shared a link to Wall Street Journal story regarding appeals court that blocked Atlanta-based investment firm Fearless Fund from running a grant program for Black women, a story we covered yesterday right here. And I want you to keep that picture up. And we're going to remind everyone of an op-ed I wrote in rolling out July 9th, 2023. It was right after the Supreme Court ruling to gut affirmative action policies inside of higher education. And I said in one of the lines in this particular op-ed, for my progressive allies who are for diversity and inclusion but did not like the implementation protocols of certain affirmative action policies and agreed with SCOTUS's ruling, keep in mind, this was never about colleges, but rather setting the foundation for future rulings to ban diversity efforts in workplaces, public institutions, and beyond, which required either a new federal law or, in this case, a federal case law, i.e. the ruling at hand. So now what do you see? You see that cause and effect relationship coming to fruition today. Fearless Fund, apartment discriminating against a multimillionaire named Mr. Pierce, who has gainful employment as one of the, has a robust Hollywood record and currently working, not an out of work actor. None of these things apply to him. He owns properties. He has separate independent holdings, all of it. And the apartment would argue, or the person who is in control of the process will argue, I have the right to discriminate. Okay? It's a hell of a thing. So while I appreciate the response, this is what he said in the quote, I appreciate the response to my own personal experience of discrimination in housing. I only mention it as an example of the insidious nature of bigotry, Pierce wrote. This court decision is profoundly more disturbing and injurious. Call to action. Prior to sharing the article, Pierce also published an X thread about the appeals court decision, writing that the effort being made to deny Black folks from participating in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is abhorrent. Private business deal blocked by the courts. What happened to less government intervention in our lives? Mr. Pierce is a very smart man, brilliant, I would add, remarkable actor. I mean, my goodness, he's a great actor. And he's willing to stand up and be a leader in a time where leadership is needed. I applaud you, sir, all the way around. Thank you for having the courage to come out and say this, because there's a segment of Hollywood that will prefer you to never say anything about the bigotry that Black people face, especially somebody like you. But you did, and I thank you. All right, Jackson, thoughts?
Yeah, like you pointed out, the only defense of the landlord or whatever be, I just don't want him in there, you know.
Right.
Even though he probably is, I mean, I don't know how big the apartment is. I don't know how much money he wanted to spend on it. But I would think that Wendell Pierce would be a nice person to have on the resume of somebody that was your tenant. You know what I mean? That's just my thinking about it. But I definitely agree. I think it's important and good that Wendell put this out there just to show, again, like you said, kind of the infectious nature of ideas, because that's really what we're talking about at the end of the day, ways of thinking. So much so that it can impact somebody who clearly can afford something from getting what they need. It's just money at the end of the day. So
that's right. Well, it's supposed to just be money.
Well, it's supposed to be just money. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. All right. So here's another one. So a Black woman, all right, was blocked from a condo sale after meeting, you know, the person selling. Put it in a full mass. Hell of a story, a lot of twists and turns. 30-year-old Dr. Raven Baxter. Dr. Baxter, a Black molecular biologist and science communicator, recounted her shock and disbelief to the New York Times after learning why 84-year-old Jane Walker, a white property owner, refused to sell her a Virginia condo. Dr. Baxter, who lives in Alexandria, Virginia, alleges Walker refused to sell her Virginia Beach condo for a nearly $750,000 offer due to Baxter's race. Baxter was seeking a home near the beach, found the condo to be a perfect fit. So this is per Atlanta Black Star. They did great reporting on this. An agent on Zillow offered to visit the property. An agent, okay? Working on behalf, obviously, of Dr. Baxter. Visited the property, set up a virtual tour for her through FaceTime. As one of the seller's agents walked her through the condo, Baxter kept her off camera, okay? These are very normative in house shopping. But she was all in to purchase after the tour. Quote, it's a classic home with a ton of characters, absolutely gorgeous, and you can walk the beach. It was like a steal, Baxter said. I basically put in an offer sight unseen, end quote. She offered the asking price of $749,000. No negotiating. That's what you're asking for. That's what you're going to get right now, which was accepted. Okay, now you got a contractual dynamic. Okay, bargain for agreement, and send over the down payment. Now you have surety of the actual agreement contractually applied. Once Baxter's broker was notified about why Walker wanted, put down the down payment, then accompanied by her boyfriend, Dr. Baxter, drove from Alexandria to the beach to see the home in person. Walker, who is white, also visited the home that day and was introduced to Dr. Baxter and her boyfriend as they were leaving the property. As soon as they drove away, Walker told her agent she did not want to sell the home to a black buyer and communicated her desire to pull out of the sale, Baxter said. Once Baxter's broker was notified about why Walker wanted to cancel the purchase, he called Dr. Baxter to break the news. Quote, you could hear the fear and disbelief in his voice, Dr. Baxter told the New York Times. Quote, he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but she doesn't want to sell the home to you because you're black, end quote. Dr. Baxter also publicized what happened on X. Quote, my real estate agent's broker just called me 9 p.m. on a Friday to tell me that the seller does not want to sell a house to me because I am black. This is after the inspection, contract agreement, down payment. Baby, I'm either buying your house or buying your block. Choose one, end quote. Regardless of Walker's request, Baxter's broker and the Zillow agent told Dr. Baxter, they would move ahead with securing the sale. Quote, had I gone to Twitter and received help from people who knew what they were doing, I would have been panicking the entire weekend, Dr. Baxter told the Times. It was my first time buying a house. I knew my civil rights were being violated. I knew that something illegal was happening, but no one knew what to do. All right, so here's the bottom line. Contract was secured. All right, that's why you have contractual agreements called four corners of the contract. It's inside of your actual agreement. Once the down payment was given, you're locked virtually, all right? So multiple users encouraged her to file a complaint with her state and federal housing officials. So she submitted a discrimination claim to the Virginia Fair Housing Office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, hired a civil rights attorney also. Housing discrimination is illegal thanks to the Fair Housing Act of 1968 and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which, by the way, the courts are trying to gut right now. Even so, black home buyers still face disproportionate rates of housing discrimination. So Barbara Walcott, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, RW Town Realty, the realty agency that Walker uses, okay, personally assured Dr. Baxter that Walker's actions do not reflect the agency's value and that the sale is still on. You're damn right. We're going to get our commission. We're not going to let this racism stop commission either way here.
Right.
All right. No. Walcott emphasized that such attitudes are not tolerated by the agency. Dr. Baxter's home sale is set to close this summer. Got him. I'm so glad. There was, a few things could have ruined this, obviously, if there would have been a counter offer. Let's say she said, okay, I will give $740,000 rather than $749,000, which was the asking price. That then creates a new contract, which has to be considered by the buyer, and it would have made this whole racism thing, well, completely okay, as long as she didn't say it was because of racism. All right, Jackson, thoughts here.
Yeah, I guess Walker was just thinking about the property value. You know what I'm saying? She didn't want a wave of black people to just come in there and think that they could change the demographics of the landscape. But yeah, no, the CEO of the company, she was like, oh, hold on now. The money is transferred. The money's
That's
there.
right, damn it.
You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know. Stop it now. You know what I mean? But this is just dumb because I mean, for her to just say it so casually, like, well, this is normally why people get turned down in modern times these days. You just say these things out loud. But in fact, we've moved a little further than that. I mean, it's not perfect, but typically you don't say those things out loud. At least we're there now. But at the same time, we're kind of reversing backwards. So I got to be careful with that.
Yeah, no, it's a mixed bag at this point, isn't it?
Exactly.
All right. Okay, well, hell of a thing. J. Cole, big homie, man. One of the best to ever do it. J. Cole ignored at a dealership while shopping for a cybertruck. Here it is. Wow, put up the picture full mass. J. Cole, in a TikTok posted on June 3rd, user Pearl shared that she had a surprise run-in with rapper J. Cole at a Tesla dealership in New York, where allegedly Cole was not getting much attention from the staff. Quote, J. Cole and I shopping for Teslas, multiple, all right? He's a millionaire. Teslas, at the same time, while the manager kept ignoring him because he didn't know who he was and continued persuading me to place the order for the car. She wrote, the 1 minute TikTok shows Cole checking out the Tesla Cybertruck, a model that reportedly starts at around a whopping $80,000. But despite what the TikToker wrote in her caption, Cole seemed to be approached by 2 Tesla employees. Updates, obviously, I think are going to come via social media or by way of an explanation from Tesla. Yeah. So the J. Cole is conscientious. He is an environmentalist to the degree that I think is reasonable. He cares about atmosphere, cares about toxicity, et cetera. Perhaps about positive things and real things. All right, Jackson, thoughts?
Yeah, I think a clear example of profiling. They didn't know who he was, and he, you know, I mean, J. Cole rides around on bicycles in NYC and stuff. So like he doesn't really carry himself like well, I guess a good way to say it, he hasn't separated himself from the masses. Yeah. You know, so at least not fully. So they couldn't tell he was rich because he didn't have a suit on and diamonds or whatever. But even then, they may not have served him. Yeah. But yeah, definitely profiling.
We shall see if there's an update. Hopefully there is one soon, just to provide more clarity. All right. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Don't allow the powerful to see you feeling hopeless. Even if you do feel hopeless, wallow in your pity and your misery. And I believe me, I do it all the time in the privacy of your own home, but never let them see that they're getting to you. Never let them think that we're gonna give up or that we feel defeated or deflated. You gotta put your game face on and you gotta keep fighting.
The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm new to TikTok, but about 3 years ago, I started my daily political news show, The Damage Report, because I noticed this trend where every morning I was waking up to this tsunami of news that was just generally dreadful and horrifying and shocking, and I thought that if I could spend my time helping people to navigate this, serving as a bit of a life raft, pointing out which news is important and why, there are worse ways to spend your day. We're not an average news show, and we don't want our TikTok presence to be average either, so feel free to let us know what you'd like us to do on the platform, and maybe give us a follow at The Damage Report.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it, and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
All right, welcome back. True heroes. 2 black teens save a person passed out in a sinking vehicle. Put up that picture full mass. Talk about leadership. In North Lauderdale, Florida, Tony Cooper and his friend Elijah Hodge, both 13, are feeling the love and the gratitude of their community after risking their own safety to save a stranger's life. Cooper and Hodge were walking home from a Dollar Tree store on West McNabb Road on the night of May 29th when they saw a driver suddenly lose control of his pickup truck and crash into a canal. Their quick response prevented what could have been a tragic drowning in the small southeastern Florida city. The teens talked about what happened. One teen said, "We rushed and took off our shoes and stuff." That's what Cooper said. Quote, "We literally jumped on the hood and then we took off the seat belt and then pulled him out. I started screaming at him because he was heavy while he was in the car. We were screaming. He woke up. We helped him get out of the car. And after that, he was on the hood and then we pulled him into the grass." Soon afterward, the Broward County deputies and North Lauderdale fire rescue units arrived on the scene and found the semi-conscious driver on a grassy embankment. The man is reportedly in stable condition at the hospital. According to a cell phone video, drivers then entered the water and attempted to pull the pickup truck out of the canal as well. Tony Cooper's mom, her name is Jones Makia, took to social media to share how proud she was. Quote, "I thank God I do teach my kids to help people even if they don't know them. I thank God my son and his friend was able to help this young man. I'm so proud of them." Put up these heroes again. We are proud of them. We are thankful for them. We're thankful for you, Mom. We know that the values you instill in them, to both of these children's parents, the values you instilled in them came out like instinct when they saw a need. You can typically judge the weight of a person's character by their ability or capacity to respond to authentic need. That was an authentic need. They did not question the moment. To these young heroes, I am so thankful that you are my future leaders. Jackson, thoughts here?
Hell yeah, that's cool. That's definitely great to see. And like you said, it really shows people's character when you don't necessarily have to help. And this is a pretty extreme situation.
Yeah,
they're kids. They didn't have to try to do this whatsoever. A lot of adults wouldn't have necessarily tried to do this because it's difficult and you may get hurt in the process. But I also think that this goes to show the innate goodness in people before corruption happens.
That's right.
Things can go wrong, but generally speaking, when people grow up to be very antisocial in certain ways, usually it's because of upbringing and hardships that weren't dealt with properly. If you didn't have parents, all types of stuff can go into it, your environment. But this is why it's worth investing in communities where people need help, because we can bring just better talent all over the place. So I think this was awesome.
That's right. And for those who are understanding of this, we are all actually one. Okay, brother, always good to have you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Absolutely. Always good to be here. You can check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube, youtube.com/@politicsandpaper. I do daily streams. I got mental health programming on there. I got nerd stuff on there. It's getting a whole lot better with each week that passes. So check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube.
Thank you, my friend, for all your leadership and all that you do. We got the bullpen next. Stick and stay.
Don't allow the powerful to see you feeling hopeless. Even if you do feel hopeless, wallow in your pity and your misery. And I believe me, I do it all the time in the privacy of your own home, but never let them see that they're getting to you. Never let them think that we're gonna give up or that we feel defeated or deflated. You gotta put your game face on and you gotta keep fighting.
The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm new to TikTok, but about 3 years ago, I started my daily political news show, The Damage Report, because I noticed this trend where every morning I was waking up to this tsunami of news that was just generally dreadful and horrifying and shocking, and I thought that if I could spend my time helping people to navigate this, serving as a bit of a life raft, pointing out which news is important and why, there are worse ways to spend your day. We're not an average news show, and we don't want our TikTok presence to be average either, so feel free to let us know what you'd like us to do on the platform, and maybe give us a follow at The Damage Report.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it, and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
All right, let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. We have a Raw Story exclusive investigative report. In the studio, we have Jordan Green, investigative reporter, Raw Story. And there's a revelation that a lawmaker who gave January 6th terrorist attackers a Capitol tour targets ex-Capitol Police intel head. Here it is. Dear brother, thank you for coming on the show. Tell us what your investigation revealed.
Dr. Ritchie, thanks so much for having me. So yes, Representative Barry Loudermilk, Republican of Georgia, he chairs a House Administration Oversight Subcommittee that is basically doing a revisionist January 6th set of hearings, and he is calling Julie Farnham, the former intelligence head at U.S. Capitol Police, to testify behind closed doors. So, the upshot of this is this subcommittee chaired by Representative Loudermilk is seeking to deflect blame from Trump in the run-up to the presidential election, and really setting up Julie Farnham as a fall guy. And she gave a really stark warning about the intelligence about threats of violence before January 6th. Now, as you mentioned, Representative Loudermilk gave a tour of the House complex tunnels on the day before January 6th. One of those people who took the tour was on the Capitol grounds the next day with a sharpened flagpole talking about coming to get Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and drag her out by the hairs.
The irony of this, so now he's in charge of the committee investigating. He brings on a person who actually does try to protect people. This man literally led a tour with terrorists to make sure that they knew exactly how to, avoid capture if necessary. And one of the individuals quickly revealed himself to be violent and criminal and aggressive and just not somebody you want to give a tour to. But he's using this dynamic to deflect from the reality not only of Trump, but himself. Talk to us about the irony of this, dear brother, because there got to be some other folks on the committee saying this is insane.
It is ironic because Representative Loudermilk was asked to testify before the January 6th committee and refused to appear. Now he's subpoenaing witnesses for his own committee. Julie Farnham has essentially said, he's calling me to testify to deflect and distract from his own culpability.
And in a real, authentic way, she's in charge also of the protection of members of Congress, like Mr. Loudermilk.
Yes, that's a great point. We're talking about the mechanisms by which the physical safety of members of Congress is preserved so that they can do the work of democracy. And this committee is basically calling that into question. And she is the former intelligence head is becoming kind of a political pawn.
Let me read a quote. So Farnham told Raw Story, I don't buy his excuse for why. Quote, members of Congress very rarely give tours themselves. That was odd that he was giving a tour. And it's less likely that a member would give a tour to people that they don't know. The day that he gave the tour, there weren't any tours being given. What was he doing and why was he doing it? Damn, those are great points. Because I've worked for Congressman Hank Johnson, who's still in the US Congress, remarkable person, a great mentor of mine. There are tours that are set up on particular days. Guess what? The members of Congress don't give the tour. They may give a little speech before or after, but they don't give the tour. She made some really great points because now, if you weren't suspicious prior to her contextualization, you're damn sure suspicious now, understanding that he violated the normative culture of tour giving.
Right, I don't understand it as well as you do, but from what she told me, there were COVID restrictions. So on January 5th, members of the public were not allowed to come into the Capitol. So these constituents were getting a tour of the tunnels underneath the House complex, and they were filming the tunnels and watching him go through the security checkpoint into the tunnel to go to the Capitol.
I remember when we first got the video of this and we reported on Indisputable about it, I said, this looks like an intelligence gathering mission because of how they were coordinated in picture taking, and obviously conversations looked as if some of them were literally texting or writing something in order to have memory points. Why do you need those elements for places that are not, let's just say, frequented? How did he know them? Because she's right. Usually, if you decide to actually give a tour of, private, secret places like that, you know the people. How does he know them?
How does he know the people he gave the tour to?
Yes.
I know at least one of the individuals was from Georgia, so presumably they are constituents. I don't know how he knew them, so I don't want to project too much into his thinking because he hasn't fully explained it, although he defended himself in his own committee report.
And I think that's the telling part right there, because he doesn't describe the nature of the relationship. He doesn't say, this was a church that sent an email to my executive assistant and they wanted to coordinate this tour. And so we did so because I was at the Capitol that day. And I said, you know what, I'm a man of the people. So I'm going to give this tour. The fact that he has no explanation for how he knows these terrorists, the fact he has no explanation tells me he has an explanation he doesn't want you to know about. That's just me. I'm an opinion guy. I get to say opinions here. So the reality is this. She's now basically being pulled out. She's the scapegoat, or there's an attempt here. How do you think this works out at the end?
I mean, it appears that she's basically trying to preempt their subpoena by going public with it. And, they're calling her to do a closed door subpoena. It's unclear to her whether it will ever be public. And she's concerned that her words will be twisted for whatever agenda. I mean, it is notable she hasn't received the subpoena yet. And she told me a couple days ago that her attorney got an email from the Deputy General Counsel for the Republican majority saying, we'll be in touch about the subpoena. So they may decide to stall or push it back because she's telling her story publicly.
Smart woman, by the way. All right. So, dear brother, for those who are watching, they would like to read this amazing investigative piece that will have your mind boggling. How can they do so?
It's at rawstory.com.
Jordan Green, thank you for all you do, man. You're great at your job.
Thank you, Dr. Richie. Take care.
You too. All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.